Beck program.
From Cape Town, South Africa. Hello and welcome to the program. My name is Glenn Beck. Last night we left Jerusalem after the Restoring Courage event, and we laid out a bill of responsibilities. We laid out a new path that we'll talk about coming up later. And I told you that I was going to be leaving the stage last night. If you happened to watch this last night on GBTV, I told you that I would be leaving the Temple Mount and I would be coming first stop to Cape Town, South Africa, where I am speaking to community leaders tonight. And then tomorrow we are getting on the plane, and will we know by the end of this hour or by next hour, Joe?
Yeah.
I haven't told you where I was going to be. Good job, Jeffy. Just break all the equipment. Here we are in another country using their equipment, and Jeff Fisher just throwing the microphones around. Thank you. Good. You got it? You got it? Good. All right. Thank you very much. Oh, boy. Try not to break anything. We have to leave the country, and, we'd like to leave with friends.
We'll be fine.
Okay. Tomorrow we're getting on the plane, and I don't mean to be coy, but if what I think is happening, we will be able to tell you all about it coming up in just a few minutes. If for some strange reason the individuals involved are like, you know what? I think I just love Jesus so much, and they change their ways, which ain't going to happen when you find out who's involved. That ain't going to happen. When you hear what's going on, you're gonna want to be involved. Now, last night I have to tell you some of the stories that I wasn't able to tell you before, and let's start with this. Yesterday, if you watched the broadcast on GBTV, if you watched the whole event that unfolded at the Temple Mount, what you may not know is how many people canceled at the last minute. And not because they were, I'm not going to stand with him. That's not, none of that. The reason why they canceled is because they were under death threat. I said on the podium yesterday, when we read a letter from a sheikh, a Muslim sheikh, that this individual wrote this letter but wasn't willing to come on stage to read it because he knew the minute he left the Temple Mount, he would be killed. He and his family would come under threat. But what you didn't know, and we couldn't say, is that the choir that you heard yesterday, if you watched this event, was a choir that we cobbled together as of Sunday. We had a choir that had been working for over a month. And at the last minute, right at Sabbath, sundown on Friday, right before then, they were called in and they were told that if they did proceed and they did go on this stage, the political pressure was growing so large that they would be dismissed and they would most likely never work again. The choir had a meeting and they didn't know what to do because they believed in the program that we were doing. What they knew I was doing, and most people didn't know all of the, in fact, my staff didn't know until that morning what was in my speech. What they did know, they wanted to participate, but in the end, they had to cancel. One of the guys who was one of the orchestrators of the music, and one of the guys who was there from the get-go was a guy who I didn't know. Most people wouldn't know, but if you're in those circles of music in the industry and classical music and serious musicians, you know this guy. He was told he would never work again. It tore him up to not be there. But he had to make the decision with his family. The guy that was singing, do you happen to have this open to GBTV, Pat? Can you go around? Can you skip around, or do you have it queued up to something right now?
Do you know what it is you're looking for?
Yeah, I'm looking for the very beginning where the guy did the Muslim. Remember when I came out and I did the piece,
the song
Three Face?
with the...
Yeah. See if you can play just a little bit of this. This is the open. Now, originally we had a 30-piece orchestra. I think we went on stage with a 23-piece orchestra because at the very end, again, people's lives were threatened. And some people, and I don't blame them for this at all. But in the end, some said, I just can't do it. But one of the more interesting stories is we could not get an Arab to perform, Muslim to stand on stage. The only Arab that stood with us is a guy who is a minister, a pastor, a Christian, and he has his church in Bethlehem. This guy's life is threatened every day, especially on Sundays. And he stood and he gave the prayer at the end. But he was the only Arab. Now, when we did the Three Faiths, what's interesting to me is the first one comes out. Do you happen to have it, Pat?
Not yet.
The first one comes out, and I talk about a little bit about what the Jewish faith is and what this space is. The first temple was built in the second temple. And a guy, a cantor, comes out and he sings a Jewish prayer, but it's a very short, just a couple of lines, and it is meant to show the root of all of these faiths. Then I talk a little bit about Jesus coming to, through these gates, et cetera, and then there's a Gregorian chant. Now, that's not a Christian that I know of. It wasn't a Christian that did that. It wasn't a Catholic that did the Gregorian chant, but it was somebody that, did the Gregorian chant. And it's an actual chant. The Arab, the Muslim, when we talk about the Muslim and the call to prayer, there's no Arab that would sing it because they felt, if I sing it, I'm a dead man. So not only could they not sing it, if you listen to it, and I don't know anything, I don't speak Arabic, or I left my CD of top hits of the call to prayer at home. So usually I have that thing cranking in my car when I'm going. Don't you, Pat?
Oh,
man,
crazy.
I just love it.
Like crazy.
Yeah. So I'm not really up on my call to prayer. Mm-hmm. But this guy he wasn't even allowed to sing actual words. He had to say, whatever it was. He couldn't actually say the words because it would have inflamed the Muslims. 40,000 of them were just above us as we did this performance. Do you have it? You don't have it? No. It would have been cool, though. I could have showed you this.
It would have been cool.
Would have been really
maybe
cool.
At the station, their internet access is a little faster than what we're experiencing here, and maybe Stu, is it possible you guys can get what Glenn is
Stu
talking
hasn't
about?
even shown up.
No, I do occasionally show up, but we're looking for it.
Okay. If you guys can find it, it'd be, it's where the.
Then I want to tell you another amazing story. When we come back at the after the break, I want to tell you another amazing story. This one will blow your mind. This one is total obedience. A guy got on a plane after having a feeling and hearing a song 10 years ago and saying, when he heard this song, he heard in his own self, you will sing this someplace important one day. When he heard about this event, he got onto a plane and brought an accompanist with him, flew halfway across the world with no chance of being a part of the program. I, by chance, happened to hear him the night before. It so affected me that I asked him to end the show. I called him up in the morning yesterday And I said, if I can arrange the whole, if I can tell the orchestra, okay, you know that song you've been rehearsing for weeks and weeks? Yeah, we're not going to do that one. We're going to do this one. He said he was simultaneously shocked when I called and knew that I was going to. He had been praying for 2 weeks. Please, Lord, I know this is the song that needs to end this program. Please, if it's your will, I'm ready. I'll bring the accompanist. I'm ready. And he came halfway across the world with no chance of being a part of the program. And I called him the morning of, about 11 o'clock, and I said, I know this is really late notice. I don't even know if you know a pianist that can do that for you. And he said, oh, yes, I can. And I said, well, I heard this, and I just thought it should end the show. And he did. And you have to hear him. We'll play that coming up in just a second. First, our sponsor